2025 in Homa Bay County, county number 43, today being the very last day. We do expect Professor Kithure Kindiki, the Deputy President, to officially close this devolution conference. Probably during that we'll get the conversation on what exactly are the takeaways from this conference. But I'm still here on set with Vikins Bondo, MCA West Kasipul Ward here in Homa Bay, and Kevin Osido, Executive Director, County Governance Watch. Now, let's take a look at some of the pronouncements made here and how consequential they are, because yes, during the Devolution Conference 2023, which was held in Western Gishu County, the President promised that he committed to ensure that all the functions that were set to be devolved would be devolved. And as of December 2024, he signed a document to that effect. And when he opened officially this event here, he said that yes, he had done his part, that he had devolved all the functions that were to be devolved. But the question is it the reality on the ground? Because the budgets do not seem to talk to that. Vikins.
Thank you very much. I think the conversation about devolving the function that was still held in abeyance by the national government is long overdue. It is a conversation that we've had for a very long time, and it has been pushed. The right former Prime Minister has been at the forefront of pushing for the full devolution of all the services that are supposed to come to the county government. And I think on my end, the county government has been doing great things on the ground, and as I elucidated in the introductory remarks, there are things that are outlined in the Constitution that are specifically and purposely for the county government. And taking a stock of what has been happening in Homa Bay, I can admit and say with great certainty that the functions that have been scheduled in the Constitution have actually been seen on the ground, right from the schools to do with primary education, the ECDs that the county governments engage in. Homa Bay County, for instance, right now, for the last two and a half years, has managed to build close to 241 classrooms for ECDs. We have the county roads that we've been able to maintain, a lot of kilometers that we've done as a that has been done as a county government of Homa Bay. The health facilities, the basic health facilities that we've been having, a lot of infrastructural development has been done to them. The markets that we have that deals with the issues to do with the trade, I think where there have been no markets, a lot of markets have been placed to ensure that we provide a safe place for transacting business with the locals. And it is something that cuts across from all the functions that are supposed to be undertaken by the county government. Now, the national government, just as has been said by the President of the Republic of Kenya, should be committed, and not just committed in paper or in document, but it should be something that should be actualized on the ground, so that we are able to see the full decentralization of these services to the county. The county has the mandate, the county has that capacity to roll out these functions to the locals of the county government. And one of the remarks that I had that was mentioned by the Prime Minister was about the roads. We've had 1,000 and plus kilometers that have been done, but they have been marammed, and there are certain funds that have been left with the national government. We have the Kera, we have the Kura, we have the Kena. I also share the same view with the former Prime Minister, that these are monies that are supposed to be brought to counties. Because if these monies are supposed to be ensuring that roads are being done in the entire country, the country is made up of these counties, and therefore there is no need of maintaining some funds at the top where they're supposed to come to the bottom to help the people at the bottom. Because all these counties have roads that are supposed to be made, the monies can be decentralized to all these counties so that they don't have to depend on somebody sitting somewhere, just as the former Prime Minister was saying it, to make decisions on how these roads are supposed to be done. So I'm of the view that this function should be fully devolved, and to that effect, monies should also follow them. Because we can say that this has been devolved, but there is no actualization of it due to lack of resources. Yes. And therefore, once you say that this has been devolved to a county, accompany it with money, accompany it with the resources, so that the project that is supposed to be delivered at the county is also commensurate to the resources that have been allocated to it, so that it doesn't appear as a theoretical concept that is done on paper without actualization on the ground.
And the challenge, Osido, is that such conferences and such forums could end up actually doing a disservice to devolution, that they provide a platform for people to come pay lip service, promise, make commitments, sign documents, and make very huge pronouncements that are inconsequential. Now the devolution conference is biennial. They stopped having it every year. But does it make sense for us to wait 2 years for us to come and make the same pronouncements that were made in 2023?
Fred, it doesn't have to be that way, and we don't have to keep paying lip service to commitments that have been made, especially in such multi-level conversations. I know that because I have served as a member of the steering committee in some of the conferences in the past. And part of the conversations around changing from an annual event to a biennial conference was so that we also give time to implement some of the commitments that have been made, and also allow for time for certain things that need to be done as foundational baselines. For example, policies. Some policies take longer, and within a year you might not even have passed a law, to be able to do certain things. So the thinking around the biennial conferences was a very good thought, and I remember that at that point in time we also introduced as civil society a framework therefore to monitor the kind of commitments that have been put in place. And that is when the Council of Governance launched the very instrumental Marifa Center, which now at a click of a button, you can be able to see what kind of work is going on in which county and what kind of reports they're also generating. And probably before I get to the details of that, is to also thank the Council of Governors, because you realize that this is one of the most inclusive conferences. And I say that because as someone who has never missed any of the devolution conferences since 2014 in Kwale, this is one that we have had a heavy interest of non-state actors, because the past conferences, other than the first one, was largely for counties and governors. And of course we understand, because there were teething problems. I remember the inaugural chair, Governor Isaac Ruto, ever fighting with the president over who is more superior, which flag needs to be flown, is it national or county? And so a lot of growth and a lot of processing has had to go into these things, where now we can actually pride ourselves and say that all the stakeholders of governance are sitting together and they are discussing. And even as civil society, because I know yesterday, because we do a lot of work with persons with disabilities, we launched the county disability inclusion report in Tent 4 with the National Council for Persons with Disabilities and other stakeholders. And as County Governance Watch, we also launched a report on FLOCA. So FLOCA is financing locally led climate change actions.
Yeah.
And this is funding that comes from the World Bank, through the National Treasury and other partners like KfW from Germany, among others. Now, why this is important, Fred, is because you cannot get governors to attend your workshops in Nairobi. They are very busy, probably doing nothing, or very engaged in their county businesses. But when you bring everyone on the table, where you can sit with Governor Kakamega, FCPA, and you tell him, Your Excellency, you are the chair of the Finance Committee, and as County Governance Watch, we have been following through, disbursements, and some counties are doing very well, others are not doing very well. As you sit as a committee of governors, what do you see? That is a conversation that it might take you 8 months, probably, to look for Governor, Fernandez Baraza, the chair of the Finance Committee, to be able to have it. So the beauty of bringing everyone here on board, and there are also some stories, success stories that are happening that probably we are not seeing, where development partners in those the VIP pavilion, they are signing MOUs with counties to be able to fast track development processes and also support to certain critical services that are being done by these particular county governments and also partners. And I know that we were here with you. You hosted some of them here, the KCB, and also Food for Food for Africa, I think.
Food for Education.
Yeah, Food for Education. And so, and many, many other exciting stories that are going on. So we are very grateful that this has been opened, and especially because of the theme, which is for people, for prosperity. And then you break it down, because every day has had a theme. We had good governance and accountability on day one. Yesterday we had what is called human rights and social justice, where we had, like the PS from the Office of the Attorney General giving us a record on some of the human rights responses to violations that Kenyans have experienced, among many other conversations. Today, we are talking about financing inclusion, so the financing aspects. And we are hoping that this, therefore, is a platform that will continue to grow to be able to embed. And so it really bothers some of us when important conversations like these ones are just pushed under the table, and we think that it is lip service. And that when we talk about critical issues like the one you're asking on devolution of functions, why don't you just be a gentleman who will keep to your word and ensure that it is done? Because all the attendant laws to be able to ensure that functions are devolved, they are there, they have been put in place. In our side event, together with other organizations like ACT and Twaweza Africa, we were having a discussion with the IGRTC, the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee, the one that is actually tasked to be able to look at what functions have been devolved, which ones have not, how do we devolve them. And it is true that the President's Gazette notice was a big discussion, because even the 60 days that the President spoke about, we agreed that it is not new, because this is something that in every conversation the President keeps talking about, 60 days to fully devolve. But where is the challenge? Why can't we get the critical people to be able to do this work? And we note that, for example, failure to devolve some of those functions, Fred, is denying county governments monies. For example, we're talking about close to 258 billion for certain critical services. And those are just services that probably Kenyans might not even understand, because it is not in their business to check who is supposed to ensure that madaktari wako kwa hospitali. Serikali ni serikali, na ni sababu katiba imenakili who is supposed to do roads and what kind of roads. And Vikins has talked about Kura and Kera. Why do we have this duplicity of this road class A is for Kera, is for you, Kenha, nini. The Kenyan that we spoke about, and he shared the story of Homa Bay when he was growing up and there were no roads, is not concerned about who is supposed to do those things. But because our constitution and the wisdom of the Council of Governors and other players have given us the devolution conference, it therefore needs to be a platform where we look at the critical conversations, the things that are supposed to make devolution really be for people and for prosperity. So that, for example, conversations with the healthcare, where doctors are perennially threatening to strike simply because wengine wajapewa, they have not been paid. Some doctors, I know even up to yesterday, some counties are still saying we don't have money to pay our healthcare workers. It is not supposed to be like that, especially when we talk about 12 years into devolved governance. And as I finish, Fred, we have done some bit of an analysis on some of these functions, and I'll be sharing, for example, under agriculture, that since 2014 to 2023, 2024, because those are the audit budgets, the audits that are available. We are dragging about 2 to 3 years back into our audit system. Agriculture alone has received approximately 851 billion as a sector, and the national government remained with 657 billion. The county governments were given 194 billion across the 47 counties.
Yet agriculture is a fully devolved function.
Agriculture is a fully devolved function, and the constitution only says that policies therefore should be left to the national government. Why do we hold 88, close to 78% of the money that is devolved, to national government?